Thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang. Whether you're in a 3-gun competition, hunting, you're in the military or law enforcement, you've probably at least seen a gun-mounted camera if you haven't actually used one yourself. Well, for the past 4 or 5 months, I've been testing this camera out. It's the RePlay 1080 XD. And if you've been watching my channel, you've actually seen quite a few clips that I've taken from this camera. Over the course of those months, I've come to realize that this camera and its associated mounts makes it what I think is the best firearms-oriented POV camera on the market today. And I want to show you why coming up next on Twang and Bang. The RePlay 1080 XD is their top-of-the-line camera, and it retails for $300. But when you pay that $300, you're getting a whole lot more than just a camera. You're getting a complete ready-to-go system, including all the cables you need, wall charger, car charger, several different kinds of mounts. You even get a micro SD card. You got everything you need to get started taking some great POV footage. And believe it or not, all of that stuff fits into this convenient case. And yes, it does close with all that in there. The camera itself is the smallest and lightest full HD POV camera on the market. The hard anodized aluminum housing is water resistant, and it's really built to take a beating. Unlike other popular POV cameras, it doesn't require a secondary case just so you can use it in harsh conditions. There are only 2 exposed buttons, one for power and one for record. The rubber buttons require a 3-second hold in order to actuate, reducing the chance you're going to accidentally activate or stop your camera. Instead of beeping when the buttons are pushed, the RePlay vibrates like a cell phone. This gives you silent but effective feedback when the camera's in a position that you can't see the lights. The end cap covers charging and download ports as well as the SD card slot. It also gives you access to the mode and the frame rate button. One of those small genius ideas is that the end cap doubles as a legend for the indicator lights, so you don't have to remember what they mean. As you can see, the indicator lights are actually really bright. They're very easy to see even in bright sunlight. The buttons make it very easy to click through the different resolutions as well as the different frame rates. And very quickly you see why an LCD isn't required on a camera like this. The buttons and lights become very intuitive very quickly. The included Hemlock Mount is made with a combination of polymer and machined aluminum. Once you snap the camera into the mount, you can easily rotate the lens to the desired position. The Heim joint mount gives you 360 degrees of tilt and pan, and this will open up a lot of options for mounting your camera and framing your shot. This means you don't have to add additional joint arms and extensions in order to aim your camera like you do with other systems. When you don't need the flexibility of the Heim joint though, you can use this extremely low profile mount, and this is useful when you need to mount the camera in a small space or you just don't want the camera sticking up from the base. Each of these mounts locks into the standard bases with a single broad locking tab, and once in place, the camera's held stable and secure. Though the RePlay doesn't come with this Picatinny mount, it's worth the extra $79. It's made out of machined aluminum, and it's built like you'd expect any firearms accessory to be built. GoPro should be ashamed that they don't make a mount like this. You can't even get a Picatinny mount for the GoPro in the aftermarket this good. The mount gives you 360 degrees of adjustment that's locked in place by teeth, not friction. Once you lock this mount down, the camera is going to keep pointing where you put it. There's just no way that recoil is going to give you any problem with this camera mount. It's also much easier to mount and adjust than anything currently available for a GoPro. This mount alone makes this the best system I've ever put on a rifle. Here you can see the big advantage that the RePlay XD has over the GoPro and similar cameras. It just looks like it belongs on a rifle. That could easily be a weapon light. No matter where you put it on the rail, facing forwards or towards the shooter, the camera and the mount just disappear on the rifle. You don't feel like you're mounting a brick to your gun like you do with other cameras, and you're also not worried about that machined aluminum mount breaking. There's no need to change how you use your rifle just because you've got a RePlay mounted. You can even use the Picatinny mount on a Glock rail even though it's not a true Picatinny rail. You just need to make sure you don't over tighten the mount because that will squeeze the frame against the cycling slide and cause a malfunction. However, once you get the tension just right, the RePlay mounts pretty well on a Glock. One thing shared by all of these point of view wide angle cameras is that they exaggerate distances. The concrete block sitting in front of that black box is only 30 yards away, but it's really hard to make it out. So if you want to record the details of something, you want to make sure you position a camera within about 20 yards. Of course, you can't beat this camera for up-close action. Mounting the RePlay on this shotgun gives us a great perspective on this dummy practice. The Picatinny mount is actually useful well beyond mounting directly on a firearm. By using one of these plastic Picatinny rail sections and any 1-inch strap, you can use the Picatinny mount to strap the camera anywhere you need to. And this has allowed me to easily get some pretty cool shots with this camera. Using this strap Picatinny combination means I can put the camera in places where I'm not going to put a sticky mount, whether it's because the shape of the mounting surface won't let me or I'm just trying to save time. This lightweight, easy combo means I can strap the camera anywhere, even on my forearm, as I did to get this cool shot. I didn't even know the camera was there the whole time I was batoning this kindling. I even used the strap on the winch mount of my ATV to get this shot. I didn't have to prep the mount with alcohol wipes and clean it off for the sticky mounts. It took me only a few seconds to wrap the strap around and crank it down, and it held the camera exactly where I wanted it. This one clip shows two of the main challenges that I have with the RePlay. You can't really see much of the ATV, and I don't like that. I actually wanted to get more of the ATV as a point of reference, but since the RePlay doesn't have room for a screen and it doesn't have a Wi-Fi application to allow me to preview the shot, I didn't know that I wasn't framing the shot the way I wanted until it was too late. And this is a shot that I can't do over again. This was a once and done thing. You can also see that the color just isn't right. Those greens are oversaturated. But in order to adjust that, of course I would need to be able to preview it to know I need to, but you have to actually edit a text file on your computer and then load that text file onto the camera. Though I can correct for a lot of this in editing software, it actually takes some time to do, and you don't always end up with the resolution you want when you're done. So that brings me to my wish list for this camera. I think there are 3 additional features that if this had, this would be the killer POV camera. Number 1, like I was talking about, Wi-Fi with an associated app that I can use my phone to frame the camera, to control the camera, and adjust all those settings that I currently need to adjust via a text file. Number 2, submersibility in its existing form. I mount cameras nice and low on this amphibious 6-wheeler that gets submerged through normal use all the time. I'd have to use an additional waterproof housing on the RePlay in order to feel comfortable doing that. I know from the different phones that have come out this year, different video cameras that have come out this year, that the technology is there to make something like this submersible as well. I'd love to see that in a future version of the camera. And number 3, I'd love to see a high frame rate for this camera. Right now, you get 60 frames per second at 720p, which is great for a lot of applications. But I use 240 frames per second and up to do things like diagnose firearms issues, diagnose issues with my form, of course, and there's a cinematography aspect of it as well. I think that between those 3 things, Wi-Fi, make this submersible, give it a higher frame rate, you'd have a killer POV camera that I'd be willing to spend even more than the $300 that this is. But if you want to learn more about this camera, the 1080 XD, be sure to click the link in the video description below. If you like this video, please take the time to log into YouTube and click the like button. Now more than ever, YouTube needs to know that you like firearms-oriented programming. Be sure to click right here to subscribe so you can catch my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff like this camera. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and hope to see you next time.